Well, hello there, traders and investors. I'm LA Little. This is your daily NeoTA wrap. This is where we take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective. We're looking at supply and demand on the charts. We're using that information test that the market gives you information to make decisions, wise decisions about what to do, right? Increase your probabilities. Everybody talks about risk reward in a trade. That's not the only thing out there. It's probability of success. And if you've watched me long enough, you know I make some pretty accurate calls a lot of the times, and that's based on the neoclassical model. If we look at the numbers tonight, and if we look at where things are, you're going to be kind of amazed because they're doing exactly what I told you we were probably going to see, and that is as we head towards the top here, S&P goes right into that area I told you we were going to get to most likely, and that was where the test was going to take place. That's where we're going to see the information released. 368, I believe that number was 369. We'll see it here on the chart in a second. As it does that, guess what else is happening? The Russell's making its big run. Not surprising, heading up to where it's supposed to go. It's at 1382 tonight. What else is happening? Well, the NDX and the NASDAQ, right? They're heading right up to their points. And as they do that, now here's the NDX up here, as they do that, look what happens. The NDX starts to struggle. Why is that? Because it's at its breakdown bar's top, 54.39. The rest of the numbers, you had sell-offs in gold, you had some oil back up again, bonds also sold off as the risk on trade is happening. Let's take a look at the indexes to start with here. And I'm going to start with the S&P 500, which is usually where we start, but even more so tonight because if you remember, I said, expect this bounce to take you right up into the area right there. It's the top of the two swing point lows, this one and this one. It's the congruent area between those two swing point lows. As it comes into those, this is 369.08. The other one is 367.80. Where does it close? Right in there, 368.06. Got over it, back under it. Look at your volumes, 31.5 compared to 42, compared to 37. Lighter volume as you're coming into it. You get over it, back under it. It's going to try and retrace most likely as a result of that. That's the S&P 500. If I look over at the NDX, we were talking about the NDX, the test would be the top. What does it do? Test it. 54.39.58, 54.39.74. You're over it by a few pennies. That isn't over. That is going to be a break. It's going to be suspect. Now you've got to hold it. Now, if you know a little bit about the neoclassical model, it says if you come back to do a retest and attempt to regenerate, when you come back, that test is going to be against the high and low of the swing point high that was broken, which is this bar here. And if I can get my pointer to work, we're talking about this bar. Well, that's a wide price spread bar. That says you can trade all the way from here back to there, or at least down to about the last third of it, and just be a normal retrace. And so if you're looking at this market, NDX, tomorrow, big day on it. NASDAQ, the one I've told you that really has to get over the top is the NASDAQ, climbing towards it, 59.1678. The top is 59.28, so you're only 12 points away. That one's going to try to test it. I don't know if it's going to get there given where the S&P is. And finally, if you go to the one that was sold down the most, which is the Russell, what does it do? Well, it's climbing its way back up to try to get back into that area that we talked about, and that was this swing point high over here and the breakdown bars high, which is right there. That's where it's trying to get to, and you see the kind of run that it's making as opposed to the rest, right? 0.73, 0.32, today was 0.78, and off that bottom was about 1.5. So you've had a nice, big, fast spike up. But guess what you're going to do? You're going to run right into a steamroller set of sellers, most likely. All of the indexes are coming back into their points where you should see sellers arrive. And you should see buyers walk away. If that's what we see, then that tells you that you've got the range And if you look at the Russell's range, which is the widest of the group, the Russell's still holding this top area up here on its range. And if it gets back into that, then the Russell, if you double up, let me get this down just a little bit farther. If you double up on that, let me just grab it, paste it down, and we'll pull it down a little bit. That's going to be to right there, and I believe I showed you this the other day. What is that going to do? It's going to try to bring it right back into the top of this big bar, which was the breakout bar on the weekly of that swing point high. That's what the Russell's going to try to do if we roll back over. Right? Eventually try to break this range and expand it to the downside. That's the way it's setting up on the indexes. Now, I had a good comment that was written to me yesterday. One of the viewers of the show says, you know, you're pretty darn accurate, a lot of the time. So can you show me how to make money, right? How do you trade this? Can you turn this accuracy into money? And that's what I really should focus on probably a little bit more. I thought it was a great comment. And yeah, you can turn it into money, and I can do that live for you and show you how to do it. Of course, I do that with the members of the site already, but you know, if you're not a member, then you can't see it all, and therefore it's a little blind. So what I think I might do in respect to that question, and if you do have questions, or if you do have comments that you'd like to make, I'm available. I would appreciate you probably emailing me versus calling me, but if you want to join the site, or you're interested in joining the site, by all means call me. Let's talk about it. Let's see if it fits you, and let's see if you fit in. As far as comments and so forth, just shoot me an email. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say, because a lot of times they can be good things. Getting back to this question, I'm going to probably put it right here on the videos. I'll just do a quick video feed. Now for members, if I go into the member, go to let's see here, my writings and videos. I have videos here for the members. There's more of them, educational, but as well as these cradle to grave trades. And I was doing these for a long time. I know the members liked them. I'm thinking maybe I'll make this public at this point, because those trades, I haven't done any for, I don't know, it's been a couple months now as we revisited or revised the site. Maybe I'll make those cradle to grave public, and I'll either have those pop in here, or I'll take one of the existing ones, the 2-minute or less trades, and continue doing those and show you how to trade. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just take a 2-minute or less trade and say, okay, here's an entry, here's an exit. And I can show you one that we did just in the last couple of days. We flipped it for profits today, and that symbol was Light. Light is Lumentum Holdings. They had just broken out. When we looked at these guys, they had just broken out. They were on our watch list because they were a potential breakout. How do we find those? Well, by the way, there are ways to find those here on TA Today. You just come into, on LA, actually the tools, you come into the trading signals, which gives you signals on a daily basis. And that was one that happened to show up that got me interested in it. We eventually traded it, and we only traded it for one day. What we did yesterday, or actually day before, no, it was yesterday. Yesterday we bought it almost at the bottom. We had an intraday entry at, let's get the numbers here, 52.15, I believe it was. 52.15 is where we brought it. The low was 51.90. By the end of the day, it was 53.55. So we'd already, up $1.30 or so on it yesterday. Today it got as high as 55, but we flipped it pretty early this morning, about where it closed, and just booked our gains. How did we make that trade, and why did we flip it so quick? Well, we flipped it so quick because on the retest regenerate, volume expanded on the test. That's typically not a good thing. It means that you probably are going to try it again. And so this bar that I'm pointing out here, that bar is probably going to get tested again. That's going to be the test down into here. If it breaks, you're going to get a bigger pullback. And so we said, okay, well, we got a nice entry. Let's take our profit. And so much of your profits are based on entries, folks. If you get a good entry, it's pretty hard to lose money. Even if you're wrong, you can usually get out for a small loss or some sort of a gain. So that's an example, but getting back to the viewer question, I'll probably stick them in here 2-minute or less trades, and I'll just try to do a couple a week just to give you a feel for how this works. That's it for tonight. What are we going to do tomorrow? I expect we're going to probably fail right up here where we're at. It is the end of month. You'll see it try to pull back either tomorrow or next week. Have yourself a great one. I'll see you on Monday. Take care. Good night, everybody.